All right, so today I am here with Cassie Platt. Cassie is the children's director at Grace Community Church. Excited to chat today, Cassie.
Me too. Thank you.
Yes, I'm curious. Could you tell me a bit about what called you into ministry and how did you eventually find your way to Grace Community Church?
Yeah. So I moved, so I'm a single mom and
Hmm.
about a year after I got divorced, I decided to make a big move. And part of the reason we moved was to find a church community. And I had heard a
Hmm.
lot about Grace. Montrose is about an hour away from where I was currently living. So we ended up moving, got plugged into Grace pretty quickly. They have like such a great culture there of community. So you can get plugged in pretty easily with small groups and just things they do in the community. I'd always felt a call to ministry, but I didn't know what that looked like. I just knew I wanted to be in ministry and I had that calling on my life, but I didn't know how that was going to happen. So, um, I was in the pastor's small group and I started serving in children's ministry. Now, children's ministry is not where I've ever seen myself, which I feel like
Hmm.
that's what everyone says. But yeah, so started serving. So obviously got really plugged in with the people there. And honestly, for me, it was just to find community. It's a bigger church. So when you start serving, you really meet people that way. You kind of have a camaraderie because you're doing the same thing. They plan events, all the things. So I started meeting a lot of great people. And about a year and a half ago, I was looking to get another job.
Hmm.
And so, I was kind of feeling this hesitancy, like, I don't know if this is what I'm supposed to do. But I was just like, you know what, God, I'm going to walk in faith and I'm going to move through this process. If you don't want me to do this, like, please stop it. And literally the next day, the current children's pastor contacted me and asked me if I wanted a job with their church, with the church. And I was like, what? No way. So ended up getting hired as the preschool nursery director. And within 3 months of being like an intern there, the current children's director was moving because her husband got a job at Life Church in Oklahoma. So they asked me to fill that position, and I said yes. It was a hesitant yes, but God confirmed to me that that was what I was supposed to do. So I've been in the position as of January this year. So yeah.
Well, yeah, that is spectacular to hear. Really, really appreciate you sharing. And there are, God's plan is really unintuitive to us as we're going through it. So, I'm curious, what advice would you have for people, undergoing just significant life change to lean in and have confidence in those decisions as they make them?
Yeah. I think my advice to people if they're going through life changes is just to number one, press into your relationship with the Lord. Um,
Hmm.
spend time with Him, spend quiet time with Him, be quiet at His feet so you can hear Him. I feel like we live in such a distracting world that it's easy to let the opinions of others and just our busyness kind of get in the way of hearing what God is telling us. So that's definitely my first encouragement is to be silent in front of the Lord and just trust that He's got you. Like He's got you. He knows what's coming. He's gone before you. So just walk in confidence that He's got this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, could not agree more there. And yeah, so you mentioned you started in kids ministry. You originally didn't see yourself in kids ministry. When it comes to recruiting volunteers and even team members, what advice would you have for reaching people that could probably be great in kids ministry, but maybe they're either on the fence or don't think that's for them?
So when it comes to recruiting, this is something I'm pretty passionate about, but I would say
Hmm.
start with relationship. It always starts with relationship. So if you see something in somebody, get to know them and don't have an agenda, like be genuine about it. Truly be
Hmm.
curious about people. And that's where I feel like God opens doors. So the best people I've recruited, it's because I have a personal relationship with them. They trust me, I trust them. And when you get to a level where you can call them up and you can call out what's in them, they tend to trust you more with that, even if they don't see it in themselves. So I would just say start
Yeah,
with relationship, get to know people, connect with them.
yeah, absolutely. And yeah, I really like how you put it. Like when you can call something in someone that they might not see in themselves, like that is next level trust. So aside from having that type of trust, what are some other values and important things you and your team operate by?
Definitely, I mean, practicing the gift of exhortation, like calling it out
Mm.
when you see, like, wow, I just saw how you interacted with that kid, and that was amazing. So building their confidence and just pulling that out of them, making sure you're encouraging them. Um, yeah, I think our team is all about that encouragement and then training. So giving them the proper tools and information so they feel ready and equipped, and they know what to expect. I think all those things are so important.
Yeah, I could not agree more there. And because, yeah, people, if they're not equipped to serve, like it's just not going to go well. And so,
No.
yeah, so we talked a bit about, ways we can empower and build trust with our team. But now to like the age old question, the always to do permanent to do list item, recruiting volunteers. What are some things you've done, actionable advice you can share for recruiting volunteers? And then, like, what are some also maybe interesting things you've done that you didn't expect to work to recruit volunteers, but worked out well?
Yeah, I think this is like every children's ministry's issue is volunteers, right? So I'm assuming
Mm.
this is why you're asking me. So educate yourself. There's a tool that I use, Lead Ministry. They have courses on this, and
Mm.
it's called Lead Volunteers. And it gives you great advice on how to recruit, how to retain, how to keep, how to equip them. So I've learned a lot from that. Also, just so I think the biggest thing is you have to create a culture that they want to be a part of. And you
Mm.
are the culture. So you are what they're walking into. So you don't get to create the culture, you are the culture. So how you operate, people will just follow suit, especially when you're in leadership. So creating a culture of connection and empathy and care and love and joy and fun and all those things, they're so important, and people just want to be a part of that. They do. And they might not know that they want to serve, but once they get a taste of like that community, it's hard to leave. Like it's hard to get away from that. So I mean, for me, I think just emphasizing again the relationship with people. So getting to know people, like get to know your families, get to know your parents, see who's walking through your doors and pay attention to them, and then get to know them. And I mean, to me, that is the best way to recruit people. And getting plugged in other ministries in the church, like going to a small group, you get to know people that way. Helping in other ministries, going to events, like it's really all about networking and getting to know people, in my opinion, because you have to build that relationship first.
Oh yeah, it's like, hey, dig the well before you need water here. Like we can't just, yeah, we can't ask without giving ourselves. And so completely agree there, Cassie. So yeah, we'll really appreciate that info. And shifting gears a bit more towards like curriculum and strategy and stuff. What are some tips you have for creating experiences in kids ministry that really make kids grow in their faith and have like conversations about that at home with their parents and stuff?
Yeah, so that's one thing we really focus on, is connection with the kids and then partnering with our parents. So because obviously we have a very limited amount of time with these kids in their lives, so we don't have a huge. I mean, we do have an impact. I don't want to dilute that, but our biggest impact is really with the parents.
Mhm.
So for me, it's giving the parents tools and being able to provide them with things and encouraging them to have connection with their kids at home. Giving them, so we do like little calendars, monthly calendars, where it gives them an activity or a discussion topic with their kid each day to kind of interact with them. Also just sharing what the kids are learning so they can go home and talk to their kids about it, so the parents know, like, oh, my kid learned about this today, I'll talk to him about this. And we just encourage that, like through social media. through our volunteers talking to parents, all that kind of stuff.
Mm,
So yeah, as far as equipping the kids, I think we use the curriculum orange, and I think it does a really good
mm.
job of teaching
Okay.
them tools and yeah, experiencing God instead of just teaching them trivia stuff.
Yeah, it's like, did you memorize it or did you learn it? Because those are very different things.
Yeah, totally.
Awesome. Well, yeah, and then, I'm curious, what are some just short and long-term goals you have in your ministry?
Short term, we are revamping our check-in station. So getting that revamped, that's a very like logistical thing. And then always getting more people, getting more volunteers. That's a constant goal, short-term goal, well, and long-term.
Hmm.
Long-term goal, I think for me is to build more of a team, like a staff team. Um, and having more specific leadership roles within the children's ministry, so people can really use their talents and gifts, like, hone in on that. And I think that's where we're going to see like the biggest outcome from that, or the best outcome. um yeah, and I think right now our church is going through a lot of growth. So my long
Hmm.
term is thinking, okay, how many kids are we going to have in 5 years? So making sure if I'm still in this position or someone else, that they're ready for that. And that being like providing more classrooms, more space, having the volunteers ready, making sure the systems are in place and ready to go so that, those things aren't confusing, unorganized. So I hope that
Yeah.
answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some very good goals to have indeed, Cassie. And I'm just curious, what just other advice would you have for kids ministry leaders?
Um, if you have a team, take care of them. And
Hmm.
collaboration is probably one of the best things you can do. So when you have an issue, collaborate with other people, talk to other ministry leaders. If you don't have a team, go to other ministry leaders. It's we can't do this on our own, and obviously collaborate with the Holy Spirit. Talk to him. He will talk to you about this stuff and he'll give you great ideas. But a lot of the times he does that through other people. So I think don't be alone. Yeah, get resources, read books, talk to people. Um, yeah, I think ministry, a lot of it has to do with relationship in all
Hmm.
ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, some great advice indeed. So thank you so much for sharing so much today, Cassie. Really appreciate it. And know this will help a lot of kids ministers out there.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.